Ladies and gentlemen, it is quite obvious to me and anyone with their own brain and mind that can think for themselves online that production is putting in overtime to try to hand this invincibility twist to Cory or America. I mean, listen, I saw that episode tonight. It is a shame that Mimi lasted as long as she did. She lasted almost 13 hours. But they spent less time even caring about Mimi's thought process, what motivated her to compete that hard. They gave her no TV time to explain her own psyche. In fact, what they did in this edit was they spent time to push a Mira-Cory prop during the endurance comp so they could create the argument America fought as hard as she did to protect Cory. That was not the reason why she fought that hard. She fought that hard because she wanted to give the comp to Cameron because she thought Cameron would bring the Stone Age. Understand, no one, if America and Cory would have known prior to the end of Pressure Cooker that Cameron would have fought that hard just to target Jag, America wouldn't even thrown that comp. And you got to understand this. America has thrown Cory under the bus again by ratting him out to Jag again. So, if the edit is trying to convince us all America competed that hard in that comp to keep Cory protected, and yet she keeps compromising his game, making him less protected, there's clearly a contradiction happening between what we see on the live feeds and what the narrative is in the edit, so casuals vote for that couple. Also, ask yourself, why was Blue Kim, for someone who lasted as well as she did, I mean, let's be real, Blue Kim was in the top 6. How come she didn't get a single confessional showcasing her own motivation to want to win HOH for Jarrett, right? See, sometimes you have to ask yourself, why is production putting in so much effort to make one showmance likable, and they're putting in 0% effort to even make another showmance acceptable? Understand, in this rant, we're going to discuss how a lot of the things that I brought up during the Pressure Cooker comp, hopefully all of you all were around to experience it. Y'all know the story now. CBS came and they sent it to the Shadow Realm, but become a patron today if you would like to experience that classic. Understand, they didn't take that video down because of audio or Cam 2 footage. They took it down because I said so many things that were completely true about a lot of the people that they give credentials to, that they had to go ahead and shut that down. Because if that narrative stays there and it's that loud, it makes it a lot more uncomfortable, and it makes a lot more people have to do right by certain archetypes and certain people such as myself. You got to understand, that rant was such a classic, people are signing up for Patreon just to experience it a second time. I got people hitting me up saying, hey, I fell asleep during the rant, woke back up, and it was blocked already. People were outraged by it. But I want you all to kick your feet up, get yourself a cold beverage, because in this 16th rant of Big Brother 25, entitled Rat Exposure Closure, we're going to break down how everything I said during Pressure Cooker constructively about America and Cory's game is beginning to come to fruition. We're going to break down what's going on with the HOH Cameron psychology. Why is he choosing to take such a parallel move, such a conservative move here? Why is he not taking a bigger shot? We're going to explain that. And also, we're going to explain why there is another flip in the works, because Cirie Fields loves to give us a great meal on those feeds. Please get yourself a cold beverage and kick your feet up, because it's about to go down here exclusively on Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism.
I've been thinking, lately it's just me against the world. Round and round I'm caught up in this swirl, trying to dig and trying to burrow. Pressure turned this stone into a pearl. Lessons that I learned weren't always thorough, sugar-coated like a churl. Now I'm really out here on my own. Now my homies acting like I owe 'em, done extending out my arm. Made a lot of money from my poems, been around and now they say I'm on.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. I'm, of course, your humble host, Dave Smith, and I hope you all have had a wonderful Sunday, and hopefully this can be the icing on the proverbial cake to get you all through your day, and hopefully through some of your week. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the pressure cooker comp, it was a movie. It was quite an experience, and I grew a lot of respect for a lot of players who were able to suffer through that. I felt like I was suffering through it with them, barring, or granted, I could sit down while watching it. They literally had to stand up that entire time throughout that process. I definitely respect a lot of those players, if not all of them, for doing as well as they did. But what you got to understand is, after the pressure cooker, a lot of players like Cory in America got full of themselves, right? You saw America. You saw her conduct a deal of some sort with Cameron. You saw her production basically granted Mimi to go to the bathroom because they wanted America and Cory to cut a deal. Clearly, understand, no deal was cut when Mimi was there. There were no more flies when Mimi lost, but they made it seem like in the edit Mimi lost because of a fly. If you watch those feeds during pressure cooker, you know it was so cold in there, the flies literally were Shadow Realm bound as soon as the envelope was open. So why are they pumping in fly audio the minute Mimi's hand slips? I think they're trying to hide the fact that they wanted Mimi to not be HOH as well. But we can't substantiate those talking points. So I'm not going to be like my colleagues who do it for the players they don't like, and I'm not going to be the one to do it for the players that I do like. But with that said, you got to understand, after this HOH was crowned, Cameron's the HOH winner. You got people begging for Cameron to take a big shot, begging for him to target Jared in blue. He ends up triangulating his target on Jag with blue as the pawn. I think he figured as long as blue is on the block next to Jag over someone else, it's guaranteed Jared will vote out Jag. I'll have the numbers to get rid of Jag. He views Jag as one of the bigger threats that isn't part of his larger alliances. And by the way, I am going to provide you all the newer alliances now that they've been confirmed on the TV show. So here they are, and I hope you all appreciate that. So, of course, we now have the 7 Deadly Sins Alliance of 7. You have the Legend 25 Alliance of 8. And, of course, you also have the For Real Alliance. Now, Cory doesn't think the For Real Alliance is real. Jag never thought the said 7 Deadly Sins Alliance was real. And when you talk about Legend 25, Cirie and Felicia and Izzy, they don't believe that is real. So we literally have 3 new alliances on the board, but all of them are completely fake. They're Phalanx 5 based. Because of this, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of players posturing. But at least them making all those alliances when Felicia was in power did safeguard a lot of these players now because they aren't the ones caught in Cameron's crosshairs. That needs to be stated. So Red kind of wanted Izzy to be targeted if anyone within, their Legend 25 Alliance was going to be targeted first. Of course, it had to be Izzy because Izzy was the main one visibly disgruntled by Cameron's victory. Everyone could tell she wasn't happy about his win. Now, Jared, let's keep it real in these streets, he wasn't that happy about it either, but Jared has a better mask that he puts on, and this is why Cameron believes Jared is his best friend. Yes, that came out of his mouth. Red also believes he can trust Cirie and Felicia, but it feels as if Red and Cameron have it their way, and America, it feels like all of them want to create a scenario next week where they can possibly gun for Cirie. It feels like this week the backup plan was to always go after Izzy, but it feels like next week there is a conceded effort. There is an effort by these players to try to knock out Cirie before jury. And you have to ask yourself, when this edit is working so hard to hand certain players this twist, when I could argue if Cirie's getting all this help by production, wouldn't she be getting more of an edit considering she's been controlling the game for 4 straight weeks? Oh, that's right. They're making it seem like Cory is playing Cirie's game. But we have people trying to convince us Cirie's the one with too much help. See, what you got to understand is this week of all weeks is the week where Cirie and Jared are beginning to bump heads. Because Jared, of course, wants to keep his girl, Blue. And of course, Cerie, she's starting to realize it might be best to force a flip this week. We couldn't do one the past two. Let's do one now, because keeping Jag is just one extra shield for the rest of us. And if Jag wins HOH, we know who he's going to go for. And here's the thing, if they get rid of Blue, Jared is less of a threat too. So even though for Jared's game, he shouldn't want Jag to stay, because Jag is on to him, and Jag is close to America, and the ability of Jag to possibly play both sides is high. Whereas if Blue stays, you know she's going to be staunch with Jared, with Felicia, with Cerie. I see where both sides are coming from. Me, I would personally prefer, I'm just going to be honest, I would prefer. Well, actually, I don't really have a preference. The more I really think about it, either way, I see a positive for that side. Now, I think it could end up being a blessing in disguise if Jared loses Blue soon. I really do. But with that said, I also see that might be the last true number Jared has that will be 1,000% loyal to him outside of his mother, because Cory has proven himself to be the biggest of all rats. And this is why during the pressure cooker rant, I called out Cory for who he truly is. Everyone acts like Andy Herron's game is overrated because he was a rat. The minute Cory plays this exact same way, this Ian and Steve based beta type style of strategy, then people act like all of a sudden it's so innocent and so compelling. It's literally boring. He has made feeds boring by stopping flips. The same fans, the same Applebee's as fancy fans that loved boring feeds when their fave was making them boring by stopping flips, now they're the main ones this week when Cameron isn't after our brother Jared, when he isn't after our sister Felicia, when he isn't after our sister Cerie. Now these are the same fans complaining that feeds are boring this week because he's not taking a big shot. Wait a minute. So let me get this straight. If your boy Cory and your girl America want feeds to be boring, that's always a good thing. But the minute, all of a sudden, when you want to flip, not even you want a flip to happen, you are rooting for a flip because you're rooting for Cameron to essentially flip. You're rooting for Cameron to break his word and basically do the things I forewarned would happen if you didn't keep Reilly. And that's the funny part. Everyone can now see the value of why Reilly should have stayed. But back then when I was saying these things to defend Cerie, who they said was bad at the game, they said I was wrong. Now you got Cory, so full of himself, so egotistical, so conceited, so cocky, so arrogant. The same things these fans say about Jared, Cory is actually becoming. But what do? They act like every time he has one of these moments, oh, it's okay. Understand, Matt literally called America the B word twice this week. They ain't got the same outrage for it if Jared would have said it. I had people telling me in my stream female is the same thing as the B word. Literally, Matt says the B word, and people are less outraged by that than they were by the word female. Make it make sense. This is what lets me know it's all about who is saying it, not what they are saying. Understand that, all right? It's loaded in microaggressions and dog whistles. But you got this guy, Cory. This guy is completely sprung out of his mind like T-Pain, huh? Looking clownish out here in these streets. Kimono Cory, huh? He thinks he's Cobra Kai Cory when really he's Haku from the Village Hidden in the Mist saga. I stand by that, all right? The dude looks crazy out here in these streets. He has the nerve to get on live feeds and say Cerie's bad at this game. He says Jared is a Richard, if you get what I'm saying. He basically said he's an a-hole. But then every time Cameron has something that comes out of his mouth that's disrespectful, if you notice on feeds, Cory has a justification built into everything that come out of Cameron's mouth, albeit disrespectful to women just the same. But Cory don't have that same energy for him like he has for Jared. Now let me ask y'all a question. If Cory ain't this rat snake who's been truthfully lying about his allyship towards black people all along, because as soon as he found a route to escape, he ran out of that evacuation pad. But let's stay here for a second. So now all of a sudden you're taking shots at Cerie being bad at the game. You're saying Jared is bad at the game, but he's a good social player. This community told me social game was more important than winning comps. Now all of a sudden when the brother's not winning comps, now they say social game doesn't make you good at the game. But when it came to Ty during BB25 they said he was winning comps, didn't have a social game. Understand the goalpost is constantly moving for brothers. I have not forgotten the score. But This guy Cory now is so full of himself, he believes because Hisam's gone, he's got one over on Cirie that will last the test of time. So now he thinks his game is so flawless. When the truth is, bruh, this dude ran up to America. He told her about the 7 Deadly Sins Alliance, all right? Now, he only knew about that because Jared told him, which was a mistake, but understand, Jared had a final 2 with Cory. Jared is trying to keep Cory included. What do I always say? When a black player is super inclusive to a non-black player, we give that player the opportunity to make us look like an idiot of a player. Because if we do that, we're entertaining, but we're always labeled dumb. But then if we choose to stay on code and instead never trust the non-black player, then they say we're the boring player that they support Cory for being. Understand that dynamic here. Because while Cory is applauded for turning on all the black people who had his back when he almost got chewed up by Hisam, we haven't forgotten. Cory now that Hisam's gone, he basically has fulfilled the Kyle's prophecy because he is turning on every black player he was cool with for the white girl that showed him some attention. The white girl that thinks Applebee's is a 5-star cuisine type date. And here's the kicker. America is legitimately flirting with Cameron as the current HOH. She's flirting with Matt. She's flirting with Jag in a chicken suit. And she's been flirting with Cory. So mind you, America literally only wants Blue out because she knows if Blue's gone, it weakens Jared, all right, which means Cory doesn't need Jared as much. But also, she believes, okay, Jag's here, I can use him. She even said, I want to be the next Allison. This girl thinks she's some type of showstopper. You're still flea market floater version of Reilly. Don't get the game twisted. That's why even Red is called on to your games. It's deeper than just Cirie, but let me get to how these players called on to her games. See, what you got to understand is America is such a shiest ball, all right? I'm being as respectful as I can be. Her hate for Reilly runs so deep, she tried to disrespect that same shrine just like Hisam did. When Matt found out she disrespected the shrine, that was when he called her the B word, okay? There's people online saying, Matt is weird. Reilly didn't even like you. So why are you defending her so hard? Literally, you stands, using your own logic, y'all are the weirdest of the bunch, of the Brady bunch, because people you've never met, you are willing to try to get people canceled in order to defend. People you've never met, you're willing to legitimately crash out over. But you're going to tell Matt he's weird? Because he wants to defend a lady who kept him in tune with what was going on when he was suffering a hearing impaired type situation? See, this is what tells me a lot of the love that Matt was getting early on was fake. It was fake. Because the minute he showed some love to the girl no one wanted him to show love to, they abandoned him. Same thing happened to Blue, by the way. They all loved Blue. They loved her sassiness. They loved everything she represented until she started liking the black man. Then, oh, we don't like you anymore. Meanwhile, Cory can like a girl that at every turn disrespects him, throws his game in the mud, throws him under the bus, and these same people still go, Cory, keep going after that girl, yeah. Understand that dichotomy. Nothing America does to Cory that hurts his game makes a difference in how they love her. Meanwhile, anybody else who has the heart to choose who they choose to like, they act as if they're on this soapbox. They're acting as if their opinion holds so much weight that, oh, so-and-so with a generic name on Twitter said I shouldn't like Reilly? Okay, I'm not gonna like her because you said so, bro. Makes no sense whatsoever. See, what you got to understand is the fan base is becoming quite fractured because we're seeing what's really going on here. And we're seeing the same people who love boring feeds now are the same ones who hate them all of a sudden just because a black person's not going home. That's quite the coincidence. And see, what you got to understand is when Reilly left the game, she told Matt to never trust Cory, Cameron, and America. So imagine my surprise when Cory and America think they have Matt in their pocket. They know they're so much a rat, they tried to come up with an alliance name called, I think they called it the Three Rats, something like that, all right? That's what they tried to call it. So they're perfectly aware of their own edit. They're aware of their own reputation, but the edit isn't making them seem like rats. And that's my point. You can tell when production has favoritism towards a player when the things that normally would get that player labeled a villain is the things that they labeled them a hero for doing. You're seeing it in real time with America and Cory. And they're perfectly aware how people have figured them out because here's the thing, right? Jared told Cory about 7 Deadly Sins. Cory told America about 7 Deadly Sins. Because Cory, you're like, what's his name? Noah Shabib, 40? You're like him. You do a little bit of pillow talking because you're sprung out of your mind and you're a simp. And then before you know it, you don't have any secrets anymore, right? In America, she uses your secrets to create bonds with other people because secretly, she don't have that much information on her own to tell anyone because no one really trusts her to give her anything except you now, Cory. So imagine that, Cory. You were in a good position, but you fought so hard in that endurance that it exposed you. Everyone, even Ray Charles, could see America through the comp to Cameron because she dropped literally right after Mimi. You got Cory creating an argument, oh, Jared only lasted 15 minutes. Jared lasted over an hour. But that just shows me Cory is showing his true colors. You have a final two with a dude, and you spend more time stumping him out than you do the people that never made a final two with you. That tells me what I need to know about you and your true core. It tells me, Cory, you don't have no integrity in your core. So, at the end of the day, Coach, I'm happy you have shown us all the rat exposure closure because I was warning this community about who Cory and America truly were. They thought I was just taking Jared's side. They thought I was making this a Jared versus Cory thing. But the truth is, they made it a Jared versus Cory thing because everything Jared didn't get credit for, Cory got credit for. Everything Sari didn't get credit for, Cory got credit for. When all the while, Cory was hiding behind those black players out of fear of Hisam. Cory don't hold his own when it comes to anybody he fears in this game. And up until this week, he feared Jag immensely. But because Jag now has a 3-person alliance in principle with Cory and America, now Cory is a little bit more open to keeping Jag around. But as early as today, though, he seems a little bit sketchballed again on Jag. So one has to ask the question, why now is he turning on Jag again? Now, I hope he still wants Jag to go. Because if he still wants Jag to go, that will make that last second flip even sweeter because it will leave Cory specifically blindsided by it. And hopefully, this can be used to further get a player like Red to want to target America and Cory. Because if there's no Blue, how is Jared, how is Pooh this huge threat anymore? He really isn't. And that's where I do see how this can be a blessing in disguise, albeit a negative on the immediacy for someone like Jared to lose someone like Blue. But that's the funny part, right? At the end of the day, America doesn't realize Matt does not like her. Cory doesn't realize Matt does not like him. Cameron doesn't realize Matt does not like him, okay? None of them really have a good read on the people that they're trying to recruit for this counter cookout alliance. Bowie Jane doesn't realize literally everyone in Bye Bye B Words doesn't like her at all. She is that annoying gnat in the middle of summertime that keeps coming near you. That everybody's like, hey, man, hey, anybody got some off? Let's get her away from me, coach. See, what you got to understand is a lot of these players are really starting to wear on others, not because they're disrespectful people, not because they're disrespectful players, but people are starting to get tired of being fake around people that they know for a fact are working with other people. But that's why these huge alliances, albeit very fake, they still were important because without these alliances, it's a huge argument that could be made that Jag isn't even the target of the week. Blue Kim isn't even a nominee. There's a big argument to be had here that possibly they would have just thrown up Sari next to Izzy this week. But Cameron's not a dumb person. Cameron knows taking a shot this early when you don't have any of the numbers, it just sets up Cameron to be the new Hisam, and then before you know it, Cameron's gone. Now, to give you all an update on what's going on, Red won the Power of Veto competition. So, in all likelihood, noms will stay the same unless Cameron changes his mind sometime tonight or sometime tomorrow morning, but I doubt that happens. The have-nots appear to be Izzy, Cory, and Bowie Jane. Apparently, someone hasn't been a have-not yet. I don't know if it's Cameron or Red, but someone hasn't been a have-not yet between the two of them. And I guess this is like something going on. Also, Cory has done a lot of snitching to Cameron as well. I believe it was Cory who told Cameron about how the players in the house, or maybe it could have been America too, but I believe it was Cory who snitched on the black players just for having the opinion that it's not a good look for Cameron to not pack his bags. You got to understand, when Cameron was on the block next to Hisam, he was so cocky, he didn't pack his bags. You rarely ever see that. And honestly, I'm a type of fan, if somebody doesn't even pack their bags, send them packing. Blindside them, right? But see, this always goes back to the fact that, one could create the argument taking out Hisam was a premature move. But now that Cameron has decided not to turn on the team that took out Hisam in order to keep him around, it kind of does justify the move of taking out Hisam now because they didn't have to suffer immediately for it. But I see both sides of that. So basically what you have to understand is everything is reliant on whether the veto is used or not. Now, Jarrett, I believe now he knows for a fact that his mom is working towards getting rid of Blue. The edit has alluded to the fact that Sari is not feeling that relationship at all. Jarrett has told Blue that his mom is Felicia. So at the end of the day, he didn't tell her his mom was Sari, but he told her his mom was Felicia. Now, I don't believe Blue is going to use this against Jarrett from this point to Thursday. I just don't see it because she needs Jarrett as a vote. The minute she tells, let's be real, ain't no one going to use veto on her in that situation. So at the end of the day, it doesn't behoove her to tell anyone. It behooves her to keep this information in up until Thursday. And whether she stays or not, I don't believe she's going to use it against him. I think she really does like Jarrett at this point. And I think that's another reason why people want her gone so bad. And listen, I'm a fan of Jag just like everyone else is. I was the one during the pressure cooker telling y'all I believe Jarrett needs to figure out a way to start working with Jag. The problem is, though, Jag has a final 3 now with Cory and America. So if Jag stays, is Jag going to be willing to go for Cory in America before Jarrett? I doubt it. And that is where things truly get risky for Jarrett's game. But all in all, though, ladies and gentlemen, Izzy has been a nervous wreck this week, and rightfully so. She's in a very compromising position. She's been throwing a lot of shade at Cameron all season, and now she has to suck it up and essentially show him some respect. And honestly, for all things considered, I think she's done fairly well. Now, she's been a little chippy with Bowie Jane, and that definitely is a beef brewing in the water. They're going to have a fade in the water themselves, Coach. But for the most part, though, that seems to be how the game is being played right now. Cory is very cocky. He does not realize that people are aware of what he told America because he blindly trusts America. Jarrett is the one who actually does trust you, and you have spent so much time trying to kick him while he's down, shit on him while he's down, instead of just trying to help pick Jarrett up. At every turn, Cory is showcasing himself to be quite the hater of Jarrett. And that's why I can't wait for the moment that Jarrett sees the light on why Cory is bad for his game. Because here's the thing. If Jarrett told you about the 7 deadly sins, if he told you about that in confidence and told you to tell no one, and you decided to out that just like you outed a few other things to America, all you're doing is proving that you are an emotional player who isn't this guy you claim to be. Because if you really were this game bot, no girl thinking Applebee's is fancy could get you to start to ruin your game the way you are. And I know your fans are going to act like you're not playing badly. Your fans are going to act like you and America aren't getting clocked because that's what they do. They dismiss what is and they act like things are what they aren't. But what we're not going to do is tell lies to you because I respect all of you. And we all sat through 13 hours of a comp a couple of days ago. So truth be told, I've gained not only respect for the players in the game that suffered through it along the way, but I've gained a lot of respect for every single one of you who is here with me today. Because I know you all got to know me a little bit better throughout that pilgrimage, throughout that marathon stream. And that's what this is all about. But, so what you got to understand is, this production team 100% tonight is pushing Cory and America as front runners to win this twist because I believe they know on those feeds they're getting exposed slowly but surely. They're trying their best to counteract this. But at the end of the day, Cory and America literally threw this HOH to the ally that they're more closely working with than any of the black players. So the edit truly should be trying to make Mimi more likable, because she's the one who suffered to Final 3 versus America and Cameron, not Cory. This edit should have been more about Matt suffering through that in his condition and getting more of his perspective on how tough of a comp that was. This comp should have been more about Blue Kim's experience. But no, it was all about America and Cory and their Disney Plus relationship that will never work outside the house. Cory's already admitted it will likely not work outside the house. He said, hey, we can kick it, but that's about it. People act like because Cory got a boner on a hammock, this somehow means something. Let's just keep it real in these streets, bro. If Shorty is out here flirting with you all day, every day, and he don't seem like he's Casanova Cory, if I'm being honest, of course eventually he gonna get a little pecker showing. That don't mean nothing to me, because he ain't doing nothing with the pecker. Meanwhile, our brother Jared, he's showcasing the pipeline to success for Blue Kim. But you notice, the couples that actually have real sexual chemistry, the couples that have real, just pure attraction to each other, that really release that oxytocin with each other. These are the couples people in this community, for whatever reason, can't embrace. But the couples that are completely awkward, that look like a couple from Big Bang Theory, huh? Let's just keep it real in these streets, coach. Y'all look like y'all straight out of Big Bang Theory. And I don't know, maybe you're Sheldon. I don't know, coach. I don't know. But what I do know is, at the end of the day, coach, America is not your Penny. You might think she's your Penny, but this ain't Lost and you ain't Desmond. Huh? But your game's gonna be lost and it will never be found if you don't wake up. I'm gotta keep it real with you in these streets. You look crazy out here, Cory. You have literally told America all your final twos. You told her a 7-person alliance that you aren't even in. Then she gets included in another 7-person alliance that she will never trust because you told her about the other one. For real, they include America in it to make you feel more comfortable after you stopped a flip to save Hisam. And what do? You literally throw every member of For Real under the bus, and you don't trust it at all because you would instead rather play an anti-black game. See, I'm the one who's going to straight up tell it to you like that. Whereas the Cory stands are going to try to game bot you with mansplaining and womansplaining to try to justify why this guy is nothing but another Kyle. But he's 5'7", and he's a little pretentious, and he's very diminutive. So this version of Kyle, people act like they like. But the last version of Kyle, they told us they didn't like. But what makes this guy any different from Kyle? Kyle was also playing the game really well until he got sprung and lost himself for some floaty cooter. What makes Cory any different? What makes him any different? He literally is following in the same path. The only difference is we haven't seen no Nexus event in which he had to be in the backyard for a week. That's the only difference. That's literally the only difference. And what makes America any different from Alyssa? She literally is playing the same way, doing nothing, but has a lot of opinions on what others should do for her. Let's just keep it real in these streets. She literally is a pick-me archetype. Normally people online can't stand pick-me's, but I guess if you're not a black woman, being a pick-me is a good thing. You got to understand the loaded context and a lot of the way people break down this game is rooted in a lot of biases. And I know people will say you're recency bias radio. Surely you know that biases is part of everyone's coverage. This is true. More specifically, recency bias is part of the majority of people's coverage. But you notice, I usually call things out before they happen, so I can't have recency bias because I predicted it. Meanwhile, these people won't even tell you these things are possible to happen because they'll tell you their faves are playing perfectly. Then when they start to play bad, then they'll be the main one saying, let's vote for them to get a twist to bail them out of that. If they were really this good at the game like you say they were, they would need the twist though, now would they? I rest my case. So what you got to understand is, ladies and gentlemen, There is a push and pull, a tug of war happening. It feels like Jag will survive the vote on Thursday based on the numbers currently. But if I know anything about this Cavs, once those votes are locked in after a nomination or a veto ceremony, pardon me, all things are subject to change, okay? At the end of the day, Coach, would I prefer Blue staying because I love the Blue and Jared dynamic? Of course. Do I think it's a mistake for America and Cory to prioritize Blue leaving when Blue at the end of the day staying keeps Jared as a massive target, which allows Cory to keep blending in? I agree. Remember, I had the same critique of Jared being willing to let Reilly go, knowing Reilly and Matt were two players he could work with. But you have to ask yourself, what did Jared do so well during Hisam's HOH week for Reilly to never tell Matt that he can't trust Jared? But what did Cory and America and Cameron do so wrong to where Reilly held a grudge with those three? Ask yourself that question, then ask yourself how come no one else in the media ever told you Cory and America made a mistake that week except myself. Understand, I know the narrative is easy to suggest I'm the one that's being biased here, but the truth is I'm the one who keeps setting y'all up for success more than anyone else. I'm Dave Smith of Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism, and now I want to hear your thoughts on this rant and this week. Do you agree with me that the rats have truly been exposed and now we can have a bit of closure about this? Because I truly believe now, America even cracked a joke with Cory on the hammock saying, oh, the live feeders probably think you're a rat. So you got to understand, this guy Cory is starting to show his true colors, and he's showing them prematurely. It's as if he thinks he has the season won already. Can you blame him when production clearly are pretty much giving him preferential treatment in the ways that fans said they didn't like it when Sari got, but all of a sudden when Cory gets it, they act like, oh, that's okay. So what you got to understand is he's starting to get a little too big for his britches. And when you're 5'7", I don't think you can afford to overgrow your current clothing, Coach. I don't think you can. And see, the problem is when you're so used to playing a game in which you're blending in with bigger threats, taking over the initial precipice of people's minds, their peripherals, when you're used to blending in behind bigger targets and shields, what happens when all of those bigger targets and shields start to realize their only reason why they have a problem with each other is because you're the rat behind the scenes. They keep trying to Peter Pettigrew all this weirdo stuff. Feels like Prisoner of Azkaban. Huh? What happens the minute they see you on that map? What happens when they utilize the spell to take you out of your rat form and Ronald Weasley realizes he's been harbinging a fugitive? What happens then, Coach? At the end of the day, I can't wait for that moment to come. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, I need y'all, by the end of the night, to go cast votes for Sari, cast votes for Jared, cast votes for Jag, cast votes for Matt, cast votes for Mimi, cast votes for Blue, just in case she stays, cast votes for Izzy, cast votes for Felicia, huh? Those are the players we need to be casting votes for. Everybody else, nah, bruh, because we already know what they trying to push this game down, what path they trying to bring it down. And notice, I'm not trying to create the argument they're problematic for it, because I understand based off the numbers why they're pushing for it. But when we know behind the scenes Matt was told by Reilly to never trust Cameron, Cory, or America, we know Matt is the guy, when all else fails, who will likely never use that twist to save America, Cory, or Cameron. That's someone we need to have the twist, and that's why I'm giving my biggest vote of approval, my biggest cosign, to Matt. He's the one I would like to see compete in that comp. Hopefully it's not something that's rigged against his skill set, but I would love Matt to have that power, because I believe with that great responsibility, Matt would not put it to waste. In fact, I think Matt would not use it on anyone unless he absolutely has to. And right now, Matt is a free agent who's being included in all these alliances. You see him in Legend 25. You see Matt inside Seven Deadly Sins. And the only one he's not in is For Real. But if For Real is not being taken seriously by Cory or America, that's not really a L for Matt. So you got to understand, Matt is within the two alliances that I believe currently matter. And that really is all that matters. Because if Jag gets saved, he will believe it was Sari and Felicia that saved him, knowing that Red and Bowie Jane are trying to back up Cameron's actual wants and needs as HOH. This naturally forces Bowie, Red, and Cameron, as being the first few names on Jag's hit list, he has to at least repay that favor, similar to how Cameron repaid that favor this week by targeting Jag over the group who betrayed Hisam. All of that context is important, but I think I'll let y'all with enough information for one night. I'm Dave Smith of Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism, and this was my 16th rant of the season entitled Rat Exposure Closure. Do you agree with my talking points? Do you agree with my opinions? Who do you believe production wants to win this twist? I think you would have to be blind to not believe that they want that Disney Plus couple to win it. I think it's obvious. I think it's super obvious. But it's honestly a shame to me, because if Jared was a sister, and if Blue Kim was an Asian man, we would have all these people in this community wishing for one of them to win that twist. But because it's flipped, because they're not Joe and Taylor, no one likes them. That is the true shame in this. And if you don't see this as a double standard, I highly recommend you go see an eye doctor. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all for another rant later in the week, alright? Until next time. Deuces.